you don't want your man to keep losing to Godly because I assume that their last couple of sets have just been in Godly's favor.
Well, I think the what is it, Betaversary set was in Ender's favor, and that was even
Oh
extremely
yeah,
close.
yeah. That
There was
was
a
I
moment,
forgot about Betaversity. That was
yeah,
super
there was a
close.
moment in the Betaversary set where it was looking very Godly favored, and he could have just very
Yeah,
well
he
took
was
the set.
fully
But in
flying.
game 4, I believe, Godly DI'd in on like every single hit on a combo and a down air, and he got it died extremely early.
Yeah.
And Ender was able to make some adaptations and pull a clutch comeback in the set
Yeah.
overall. But
And we already know.
speaking of Ender, he's coming with a very early lead so far, but unless he's able to close things out, that won't matter too much.
Yeah. And people like to say that just DI out on a character like Rayman because then he won't get his true follow-ups, which is true. But on a character that likes to combo horizontally and has like a really good time edge guarding character like Ichigo, like sometimes that's just not what you want to do, especially if you get near the edge. Like you would rather take all the damage than be further off stage, but in that moment Ender capitalized really well and got a stock off of it.
The stutter step, yeah, the F smash definitely accidental. We see the stutter step F smash as opposed to a dash attack. But overall, Ender maintaining this lead. This is the same. You know, stage that of course Ender got 4-stocked on last time they played, but also the same stage that Ender counterpicked to begin with and did win on the second time they played. So I feel like Ender, you know, coming out of that experience, has had a pretty good game plan against Godly on the stage since.
Yeah.
Back here takes. Yeah, and they're making a lot of use of side.
Oh yeah.
There. If it was broken like in 1.2, good grief.
Oh, where each individual hit would have just like spike.
The memories, the painful memories.
Oh, trying to catch the no jump right there. I feel like if Ender wants to be if Ender wants to take further advantage of Godly's disadvantaged situations, he should definitely capitalize on his willingness to fight back out of the disadvantaged situations. Godly will oftentimes like double jump fair back onto stage because he wants to fight back for stage rather than taking the more disadvantageous situation off stage. You know what I mean? So I think you've got to watch out for stuff like that. Paying attention exactly to what your opponent does, but Godly tying things up as I say that, keeping Ender in disadvantage actually.
I've always wondered why Ender doesn't use Plum on stage. I really don't know if it's effective, but he just never.
I just think that if Godly has the time to react to him doing it, pulling it out on stage, he's just gonna dash attack it.
I just treat it like Hydrant or something.
Yeah.
Oh, and DIing
I think
all the
trying
way
to
into
treat
that
it like
last hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. You could either DI all the way in and up until you die near the blast zone, or you can hold out and then now you're off stage and you could easily get hit by a tornado. Which is what we've seen Ender use a lot.
I think a lot of times people don't consider, like, people are humans and like they feel a certain way, and if you feel scared about something, you're not gonna do it. And I think a lot of people feel scared about DIing away on some of these like bridge combos that characters have in this game due to their like dash speed carrying into their air speed, like multiple fairs or even like Meta Knight combos, etc.
Okay. Kind of tunneled into that grab.
That was so good. That was so good.
Yeah,
you need to read exactly how Rayman chooses to move his Plum, like with what move he uses, etc., in order to get that back air off. And Godly, very solid, but Ender confirming off that tornado right there and taking the game. Eli, Ender Eli, as we like to call him.
Yeah,
Ender Blender.
Ender Blender, yeah, the as Solace likes to call it. So we're going to game 2. Battlefield does make sense. You want to avoid these super flat stages versus Rayman. Very annoying to whiff punish him. And his aerials, while being good, aren't the best off of like stray hits. You know, especially like stuff like his back air. They're not the best aerials in the game, as opposed to his extremely over-centralizing ground game. So a lot of people like to avoid him going that way. Godly, unfortunately.
Messing up his recovery, and quick stock.
Yeah, Ender looking very good starting up this game too so far, but you know, a lot of players could get disadvantaged, like very discouraged with a situation like this. But I think you have to have a lot of faith in your own punish game to even things up.
Yeah.
Pull out the starts. That's quick. Oh, could be looking for it here.
Yeah, he tries to like snipe slightly below the ledge. I think that's another thing that's underrated about Ichigo's down air, just aiming slightly below the ledge to catch people who are so used to not being hit while going to the ledge, because oh, I don't. My hurt box doesn't extend above the ledge. I can't be hit here. But Ichigo's down air can go slightly below. So on things like Sora up B or like Sora up B in a strike rate to snap ledge or like Rayman up B, like you can slightly go below the ledge and catch people like that, which I think is pretty cool. Oh my god. I don't know if that was intentional because it looks like some of those stutter step F smashes he was doing on accident. But that was a very solid capitalization by Godly.
Yeah, exactly. If he didn't mean to do it, he definitely reacted to him doing the input and capitalizing on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's tough.
But this is still a full stock like we saw a minute ago, and one Ender Blender combo, man, it's over.
Change it off.
Oh, I think 3-2 is such an important stock count. It's so funny. I feel like I say this so often, and I think it's a little bit of just creating a narrative because every stock count is important. But 3-2 can either be 2-2 or 3-1, which feel like very different situations.
Yeah,
as a player.
It definitely feels like the decider.
Yeah.
Even it out or make the gap bigger. Oh, not quite get landing.
No jump. Okay. Oh, just tries to hit confirm the side B, but that was a good ledge snap on Godly.
Could Ender do side B ahead of time to kind of beat out Ichigo's side B? I think it's.
I think if he doesn't
ways to catch. Oh, sorry. You're about to
I was gonna say if the tornado doesn't extend to where Ichigo is before the charge, because afterwards in the time before like the true he ledge snaps, like he's not gonna be hit. So unless he like messes up the side B snap, then I don't think so.
I think a big thing about playing against Godly is it's hard if you don't play Ichigo yourself, but recognizing his side B spots. The same thing about playing with AK and like playing against his tendency to Zair to ledge. Is like being able to call out the spot instead of just being like, well, I'm gonna edge guard as a reaction, as opposed to hard calling out a certain spacing. If you call out that spacing, then it makes it so hard for these characters that want to go horizontally directly to ledge. I think that's one thing about playing against Godly that people, or just playing against Ichigo in general, that people got to take advantage of. As you see right there, he goes slightly low, then gets to his spot. Side B's exactly gets a ledge. If you go slightly high, then it makes it harder ledge snap, etc. Godly not killing with that up smash though, and Ender's gonna live a little bit longer. Up throw up air, barely not killing. Oh, and that fair gonna send him across the stage. It's not plumb for a little bit, but that nair, yeah. I think Ender is very willing to play this whiff punish game like back and forth because he knows that at the end of the day, Rayman is gonna win that whiff punish war because of how hard he is to whiff punish. But I think especially against like sword characters or zoners, that he's gonna be more willing to consider the fact that like, oh man, they don't need to whiff punish me. You know, I could whiff all I want and not get punished for it, but I'm just gonna get hit in my startup, or I'm not gonna be able to trade with their moves despite my disjoint on my dash attack or whatever it may be, right? Very good player, but I think that's one thing he's got to watch out for when playing his general game plan. But that up air though, and Ender going up 2-0.
Yep.
That was good. An edge cancel off that first up there. Wow. Yeah, and now Ender up 2-0.
Making me eat my words, in fact.
The option select by Godly that last stock felt so panicky because there's this instant where he could have gotten fair, dare fair, near fair, anything. I think he kind of just, I don't know.
He kind of just backed. Oh, he kind of just backed off afterwards.
Yeah.
Like that. That's the time to you might not even gonna kill because Ender would save his jump there. Yeah. Because I'm sure he's been put in that situation hundreds of times against Godly, but like just threatening that option and just making him panic and use that jump, like it's better than just letting him recover for free. Oh my god.
My lord, that down tilt.
Yeah.
What is this ledge game right now? What is occurring? Anyways. Back on stage. Godly. Oh, fair dare, I believe that was.
Double fair? And
that's just
side B? Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it feels like it should, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm thankful it doesn't, but like, yeah.
I guess it just did a look. Oh, sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just saying if your DI is decent enough, you'll just not die to it if you had a reasonable time.
Damn. That's the second time when he hit the plum It just sent Ender back onto
all the way.
stage. Like, I don't know what determines whether or not he.
Yep.
Oh, that,
At that point,
like just up air. Yeah, I mean, we did see him kill with an up air off the top at like 120 around this percent. We are on PC, so maybe a little bit of panic because that down air didn't seem like the right option at his height.
Yeah. I'm looking at what players are starting to do off of respawns, and I noticed how Godly was like holding shield.
Yeah.
Probably not afraid of getting grabbed because, you know, Rayman grab.
Yeah, and I think also in addition to Rayman grab and lockjaw, you know, not being the fastest move or sometimes the most rewarding moves. Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, I think also Ender's very unwilling to grab a shield. Like, it's like the player and the character kind of having that symbiotic relationship where one thing contributes to the other.
Yeah.
And it brings out the worst in Ender's unwillingness to grab a shield that's directly in front of him because he feels like the character is incapable of doing it. Whereas I feel like sometimes you gotta be willing, even if your character has a tether grab or has like a really slow grab. Oh, that was clean. Yeah. But even if your character is in that situation, I feel like you gotta be willing to take the risk. Otherwise, just to keep people honest, just so they don't sit in shield for hours. You know.
Yeah.
Another thing with Ender, I cannot distinguish which of his side Bs are like good or just like sort of
just throwing it out there just because he can.
So, like, yeah.
I think some of them serve as like kind of like similar to an undershoot where you throw something out for the opponent to attempt to whiff punish it, but because they can't, you're able to bait them into it, and then like if it hits, you know, you can hit confirm, and if it doesn't, then you can cover what they try to whiff punish you with on reaction.
But at that stage, you can just look out for what he does after this and punish.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a whole process. Yeah, I see the reason.
Berner.
About 50% here.
No, DI down though. Godly's on the board, but we see, you know, Godly trying to make this reverse 3-0 happen from his point of view. He's not playing like of somebody that's given up. You know what I mean?
Yep. For sure. 2 more to go in his case, and 1 more for Ender.
Okay. TOS.
I think
interesting. I would think that this would be Rayman's best stage in the matchup. Just based on how neutral be played, and there's not really much room for Godly to avoid the ground-to-ground interaction. But he is starting a juggle, and he is catching him on his landing. So as long as he keeps him in disadvantage, especially on this stage, it'll look really good for Godly.
I feel like it's been sort of a trend to like take players to their best stage and like sort of try to expose their habits or kind of make them like show more. Never know.
Yeah, one thing that I really like to do, because sometimes I find myself in these reverse 3-0 situations, I like to just give the player their best stage game 1. So it's either if I lose the game, now they can't go back to their strongest counter pick. If I'm in a reverse 3-0 situation, or if I win the game, that's like added confidence where it's also like you know, you beat them on their best stage, so what are they really gonna do now?
Yeah, beating someone on their best stage, big confidence boost. 4-3.
Yeah, I think also like when people are comfortable, sometimes their worst habits come out. I think that's another thing. Like we saw like Ace all the time. Like I think that's one thing that Tiller was maybe referring to when he made that comment. Like Ace all the time would just be like, I'll just take big soda TOS. I don't care. His worst habits are gonna come out anyways. Like it was like he didn't say that word for word, but that was his mentality going into his sets with Pixel. Like I don't like he doesn't care about banning TOS because he knows what he's gonna do exactly every time, even if it's really hard to deal with. Because I feel like people tend to stick to the same stuff over and over again when they're not used to getting punished for it in certain situations. I think when you have a very over-centralizing tool or a situation that's really strong on like one stage or the other, you're not used to the counterplay of like, oh, I'm gonna hard read what he does afterwards instead of directly trying to punish this option. So people are not used to getting beat on their best stages like this. So mentally, it's hard for them to adapt, and also for them to counterpick anything else because they don't realize like exactly why they're losing, like down to the exact interaction or the exact like the exact mistake that's the most crucial or whatever. So I feel like you know, it'll bring out the worst of them to beat them on their best stage rather than avoiding it entirely sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see situations where Godly is like either whiffing a move himself and then shielding, or expecting Ender to start a move preemptively and then shielding in these spots. And like you could probably, to an extent, count how many stocks Godly has gotten or opportunities to take stocks off of Ender's unwillingness to grab somebody with any of Rayman's tools.
Like pivot grab.
He's getting so much off of that one messed up side B. Like one rough side B put him in that spot. And they're looking to turn it around. Once again, it's like...
Okay. I taught him that, by the way. I'm claiming that.
Yeah, the reverse, the slide up tilt.
Yeah.
Yo, if we had a I taught Godly how to do that competition, I think there's one player in this VC right now that would be victorious. But moving on. But that up air, and suddenly we are very much in this reality where Godly has won on Ender's best stage potentially, and also is currently 2-0 in the last 2 games, so it feels very overwhelming for Ender, I believe.
Momentum going.
Like the momentum is definitely there, not just because of the like he won 2 games in a row, but the games that he won looks quite a bit stronger than the one Ender's won. But Ender loves taking people back to the same stage. Like he definitely just trusts his ability to beat them, rather than
I think he's very confident in his ability to notice things also and adapt, given the situation.
I'll give him props for that. As soon as I like lose on a stage, I give up on it for that set. I'm like, yeah, all right.
It's a gamble. Like sometimes you don't know if in the moment it is gonna be your best stage, but that mentality of like sticking to your decision and not backing down, like it's pretty strong. Shows that you're not ready to give up.
Yeah. My thing is, like, obviously the platform stages are going to be more of a long-winded, spaced-out neutral. So, like, whenever I'm just not in the mood to play a heavier neutral, I just ban SV or
Yeah, it definitely seems like Godly has started to really catch on to when Ender really wants to go in with dash attack, stuff like that. So he'll either space himself to dash attack the end lag of it, or just grab it when it's spaced poorly on his shield. Because Ender's starting to look a little bit desperate with how he wants to open up Godly.
I think Ender's, again, like he's too reliant on like either directly whip punishing people or avoiding being whip punished himself for throwing out these moves that are fairly safe. But I think when you have a player that's especially as willing to shield as much as you as Godly and just wait for you to make the mistake of dash attacking through or other things. Yeah. It's like it's exposing Ender's unwillingness to grab, and I think he needs to take a look at that and just be like, you know what, there has to be changes made here, because
there has to be exactly. There has to be times where instead of directly pressuring his shield and getting punished out of it, then I need to like punish him for that habit. Like one thing that Vash taught me, I want to go on a quick tangent, was one thing that Vash taught me when I was super frustrated with like, why is my opponent just shielding in the corner and I'm just falling into it? He said the best thing that you could do, like the simplest thing you could do, is just to grab them, because they're trying to react to you attacking their shield. So if you don't even attack their shield, they have nothing to react to. And I think that just says a lot about how like the simplest answer could just be the most effective one.
Yeah, I think like you play against a character that's main flaws are like his airspeed and his grab speed, his grab frame data, and you just exploit it by shielding. You know what I mean? Shielding in spots that he has to attack into. Either that or he has to take the risk. You know what I mean? Especially because certain things like rolls and spot dodges are so good in this game that a lot of people are afraid of directly grabbing a shield, because it's like, what if they do this defensive option instead? But you got to be willing to. And Godly also calling out that like lockjaw at a disadvantage. Ender, you know, I feel like his character has some strong points, but Rayman is a character I feel like that would bring out Ender's predictability a little bit, because he's so used to certain things being really strong and he's used to other things being really weak, like the airspeed and grab frame data, as opposed to like, oh, this hitbox is really good, like lockjaw, you know, it's a grab box, of course it's gonna be really good. I mean, the hitbox itself is not large or anything. I just mean like, you know, it's good at beating things out. and like tornado and dash attack, all these things. You know, these things are good, these things are bad. You know what I mean? I think it shows the way Ender evaluates reward to lean towards low risk. Oh, speaking of that though, Godly completing the reverse 3-0.
Yeah.
Man, that was an expert dodge on the, as you pointed out, how Ender just really likes to land with lockjaw, especially on that TOS platform.
Yeah,
and
I believe it's less of him landing in a certain way, but also him, the way he'll do it is he'll set it up so that way he'll drift slightly, so you have to kind of overextend with the move that's a little bit slower, and then when he gets out of disadvantage, he'll be able to lockjaw. I think you'll